Tampa Bay Rays finally got a W. That always feels nice.
It always feels extra nice when you do it at the Trop against the Red Sox. So let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
And we're the host of the Locked On Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making Locked On Rays your very first listen every day. And remember, Locked On Rays is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube at Locked On Rays. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Locked On Rays. Get those mailbag questions in, lockedonrays@gmail.com. Also, if you want to advertise with the program or have us do a live broadcast from your business of choice, that same email, lockedonrays@gmail.com. So the Tampa Bay Rays down the Boston Red Sox by a score of 10-5 last night at the Trop. So the Rays, they hit a lot, they scored a lot of runs, and they beat a division rival. That's always nice.
Yeah, I think it was a roller coaster of emotions that game, because in the beginning you're elated to see the bats come alive, especially in the first, like getting again to Bayo, who's now second appearance in the major leagues has been against the Red Sox, the Rays rather, and they got to him early again. Josh Lowe comes through with a clutch hit and gets the two runners on base to score. Then they get a big lead, and then they lose it. When you lose that lead, it deflates everybody. But they were able to do two things. Number one, the pitching held up their end by putting Guzek's on the scoreboard against the Red Sox offense, and then the Rays actually came back and against that Red Sox bullpen, and that was nice to see. So it was great to see the offense not only pull ahead early, but then have the audacity, have the perseverance to keep scoring runs against that Red Sox bullpen, which, to be quite frank, I don't think strikes a lot of nerve when you see Jake Diekman in the fifth inning. But regardless, they could also say the same thing. You know, Luke Bard in the fifth does not strike fear into any Red Sox fan either.
That is true. And I was a little bit nervous when the score was tied up 5-5. I was like, oh boy, this probably isn't going to end well for the Rays. But you have to love the gumption of the team to continue to fight and battle when it wasn't necessarily their pitching staff that was run out last night between Whistler, Fleming, Bard, Poche, and Adam. It's
Poche looks so good this year, by the way. I mean, the strikeouts that Poche is getting, fastball up.
I didn't mean to cast dispersion on Poche or Adam, but it's not Shane McClanahan going out there and rolling 7.
Yeah, but honestly, I think those are the arms that if you're the Red Sox, you're like, oh man, they're putting Poche. Oh man, they're putting Adam. But it's just, Luke Bard. I said that because I was surprised to see that on a 5-4 game, Luke Bard is the guy. Now I understand that it's because Josh Fleming he's heading to the IL. Yet another IL stint for a Rays player. It just keeps happening. Right oblique strain, I think. Isn't that the same thing that Luis Patino had? An oblique strain in JT Chagua. So are we even going to see if it's taken this long for Luis Patino to even be rehabbing? Are we even seeing Josh Fleming this whole year? If it's the same injury as JT Chagua and Luis Patino, I don't think so.
I don't know. Yeah, that's tough. And Josh Fleming, before he exited, he should be thanking and buying Brett Phillips a steak dinner for making the diving catch in the outfield of the year. Like, actually buy him multiple fancy dinners. Take him to Burns, take him to Ocean Prime, take him to Charlie's, take him to Ruth Chris, take him to Morton's, because what he did, because Fleming's line could have looked a lot worse than it already did, if not for Brett Phillips.
And it was a Superman type diving play. And I honestly thought, I guess body language does tell you a lot. And I think Brett was playing with a chip on his shoulder yesterday. You know, I think he knows that he's been struggling, and he finally got a start after a long time. I think he wanted to show something there, and he did. He came through with a hit. He had a game-saving catch, at least at the moment. So good for Brett to kind of get that, you know, hit off, and then also help the team defensively, which is obviously his number 1, 2, and 3 priority is play good defense.
That's his primary goal. And when you have Manny Margot out and Kevin Kiermaier out, you need that true elite center fielder. And Brett Phillips, let's ignore his 41% strikeout rate for a second, and let's ignore his 148 batting average for a second. He's 99th percentile in outs above average, 97th percentile in outfielder jump, and the amount of ground he covered in the short amount of time and the elite level of sprint speed that he got to be able to make that catch, not to mention the outstretching of himself to make that play, was really remarkable. So maybe that is something that sparks him to some extent. It's a good sign that even despite his offensive struggles, he is not allowing that or letting that carry to the defensive side of the game. And you can't, because if he lets his offensive ineptitude carry over to defense, he's out of a job. He's out of a job really quickly.
Yeah. And so, no, you're right. It's good to keep those two things separate, and it's easy to sit here in front of a microphone and say that, but it's harder to do, to not have those two worlds as a baseball player collide and kind of clash, and he's not letting that happen. So it's great to see. You know, again, we won, the race won, and it feels good. There were still some mistakes there. I don't know, the Josh Lowe fielding. I don't know what's happening with the defensive mistakes. I have no idea why they're so prevalent this season. You could say it's the rookies or something.
I think it's rookies. I think that's part of it.
But it's everybody, though. It's just like the base running. Like, you can't just be like, oh, that rookie is carrying the mistakes. It's like, no, it's like permeated throughout, like Manny Margot, Kevin Kiermaier, Yandy Diaz, Taylor Walls, Josh Lowe. Like, the errors in base running and defensive side of the ball have been there. But regardless, they pull out the W. And before we wrap this first segment up, I just got to say, Harold Ramirez is a machine. He is a hits machine. This guy literally could wake up and in 5 minutes go 1 for 3. I have no doubt in my mind that guy could just wake up and hit.
Yeah.
The plate coverage that he has, unreal. I mean, it's Vladimir Guerrero Sr.-esque what he does. I mean, yesterday he basically played cricket and got a hit. He's clutch. I know people in the analytics world do not believe in clutch, but for those of us that have seen baseball for decades, believe in the clutch factor, because it is true. Some guys just are able to just calm themselves down, breathe a little bit calmer, just like Greg Jones told us. And if you haven't listened to that interview on YouTube, go check it out. Greg Jones, he talks exactly about that clutch factor and why that is important as a player and what he does to make himself calm down. So that Harold Ramirez, I just got to hand it to him. I really hope that there are some Ramirez jerseys up for sale, because this guy should become a fan favorite, if not already.
Yeah. Oh, I had that written on my notes. The plate coverage, the skill that he has with that and hitting multiple types of pitches, and the ability to just come off the bench and rake as a pinch hitter, as a DH, as an outfielder, whatever it may be. And if he keeps this up, I mean, he's batting .330. It's ridiculous, his numbers right now. But he is the type of player that, because of his skill set and what he brings to the table, especially this day and age in baseball, he should, for the foreseeable future, always have a roster spot somewhere. Like, some team should be able to carve out a Matt Stairs-like role for him. If not, I mean, really, quite frankly, he's at the point where he should be getting 4 to 5 at-bats every game. But if
yeah,
not,
put him at the top.
Yeah.
Put him at the top. And honestly, we've talked about, is this just like a Jeff Keppinger situation? Like, is he just a 1 year a done kind of? I'd keep this guy. I know some people would be like, no, sell high. It doesn't seem like this guy, the plate coverage, again, he could just hit about anything. And I like the fact that he actually has an approach at the dish. Like, he will swing big that first strike. He will swing big. But then after that, he adjusts and he knows what's happening in the baseball context world. Do I need to drive in that guy from second? Is there a guy on third? Are the bases cleared? Do I just need to get myself on base? The baseball IQ is unreal for Harold Ramirez. And I think, again, anybody who's cast dispersions just like they did with Yandy Diaz. Hello, where are the Yandy Diaz haters? I don't hear you. I don't hear Yandy Diaz haters. Where have you been? The same thing with Harold. I mean, this guy is creating himself a really lovable niche in Rays fandom.
Yeah, credit to him too, because he was never a top golden prospect or anything like that. He's sort of had to fight and claw his way for his opportunities, and then he gets enough opportunities by happenstance, and you see what he's able to do with it. One other thing from that game that I really liked and appreciated, besides the team being able to wrap off a lot of hits and make contact and square up 96, 97 sinkers, is you see where the aggressiveness on the base pass, sending guys from third to home, go first to home, go second to home, that extra little, we think you can get there, beat the throw. And that made a difference as opposed to being a little bit too conservative at times. It was nice to see, Taylor Walls turn and score. It was nice to see Harold Ramirez turn and score. It was nice to see Ji-Man Choi turn and score. So that's something that I want to note and point out as well from yesterday's game. So we'll see if they can continue, make it a winning streak, make it 2 tonight. We'll see if that happens. But we've got to move on. And before we do that, we've got to tell you about BlueNile.com. You can make your moment sparkle with jewelry from BlueNile.com, and Locked On Sports listeners will get $50 off purchases of $500 or more. This podcast exclusive includes engagement as well. So use code Locked On. That's code Locked On, LOCKEDON. Plus, every order is insured, ships free, and arrives in discreet packaging that will not give away what is inside. So shop stress-free and find your forever piece. Go to BlueNile.com today. One thing, Ulises, that we didn't have a chance to broach on yesterday's program, and it's good news, the fact that Sugar Shane McClanahan has earned very deservedly his first All-Star appearance in his young major league career. Of course, I mean, he leads the American League in ERA, strikeouts, and WHIP, and his peers gave him the nod, among others, that said, yeah, you've been the best starter in the American League.
Yeah, and it's a two-step process for Shane McClanahan. We all knew the first step was going to happen, which is get to the All-Star game. He does that. It's an accomplishment. You'll forever be named an All-Star, and that's such a cool thing. Now, the second step is going to be the one that we all as Rays fans want, and I'm sure he also wants it more than everybody. It's to be named the starter of that game. So that's the second step. Now, will he do that? Like BA has said in the broadcast, with Dusty Baker at the helm, they usually will, if it's close, they give the ball to their guy. So Justin Verlander might get that ball, but I have to believe that when you see the numbers, from Verlander and Shane McClanahan side to side, I don't think, I mean, Ray's biased included, I think you have to lean towards Shane having the better season. I get the baseball context and a future Hall of Famer at 39 years old, making a great comeback from Tommy John. The baseball story is there, but for the baseball story, write a script.
Yeah.
Make a movie about it. I think the All-Star game is a great platform to kind of showcase the game. And why are you going to be showcasing older players that are not going to grow? Justin Verlander is not going to grow the game. Shane McClanahan could grow the game. That's the difference. And that's when, they talk about, Kershaw starting because it's in Dodger Stadium. Like, I get it. I get the baseball context, but
right.
You have to push your young stars. And I don't know why MLB is making this error, but then again, it is MLB.
I mean, I think that going forward, whoever wins the race among peers, who gets the most votes among your fellow players, should be named the starter. And Shane McClanahan would be that guy, as he garnered the most votes at 212, followed by Justin Verlander with 203, Alek Manoah with 184, Nestor Cortez with 157, and Garrett Cole with 131. So I think unless it's a situation where, you were there's a timing mechanism of your last start was too close to the All-Star game, then you move on to the next guy. But if the peers consider you and evaluate you as the best guy the first half of the season, you should get the ball to start the game instead of a manager who has some sort of inherent bias. Not to say players don't have a bias, but I feel like they're more likely to say, yeah, I faced Shane McClanahan and he was tough. So, but we'll see. We'll see what Dusty Baker does. He doesn't have to make that decision until the day before the July 19th All-Star game. If I would have to guess, Dusty Baker being Dusty Baker, Verlander is probably going to get the nod, and it's unfortunate, but maybe that just gives Shane McClanahan more of a reason to continue to fight and claw and battle and prove that, okay, fine, I won't be the starter of the All-Star game, but I'm damn sure going to be the Cy Young this year, and this won't be my first and last All-Star appearance either.
No, I think if you're a pitcher of Shane McClanahan's caliber and you're thinking All-Star starter or Cy Young, I think he would take the Cy Young. I think everybody would take the Cy Young, but I don't know. I feel like Kershaw v. Verlander is not going to grow the game as much as Alcantara v. McClanahan. Like, these two young studs, like, look at what's happening in Florida. maybe it's also because I have a Florida bias here, but Sandy v. Shane would be just remarkable to showcase. Look at these young 25-year-olds just duking it out. I think that would be great. Power righty, power lefty. I mean, the story writes itself, and it's a shame that we might not be able to get to see that, first inning.
Shane McClanahan, over under 3.5 All-Star bursts in his career.
I'm gonna say, well, it's tough because I think David Price had 3 in it.
I have the numbers right here, so just to kind of give some context here, Blake Snell, let's remember, he's only a one-time All-Star.
Yes, sir.
David Price, 5-time All-Star. James Shields, 1-time All-Star. Chris Archer, 2-time. Scott Kazmir, 3-time. Alex Cobb, 0-time. Matt Garza, 0-time. Tyler Glasnow, 0-time. So I feel like that's why I just kind of picked 3.5 out of the hat.
Yeah, I would, because you said 3.5. I'm gonna go with under because he's gonna have 3.
Okay, I think that's fair.
Yeah. Again, everybody could ask Matt Moore if he didn't have a terrific start to a season, and we all thought, "Oh, there he is," and then never again.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that's going to happen to Shane.
Looked like the best. He's looked like the best pitcher when he's been healthy, but things have happened.
Yeah, I'm going to take the under. Yeah,
especially in this day and age. But of course, a great accomplishment for Shane McClanahan. I'll take the under as well at 3. That might be a nice little prop bet or a nice little wager on BetOnline. Maybe they should add that to their Curie up there.
They should, because betonline.net is your number one source for all your betting needs and sports information. Find all of the latest sports development, league reviews, and news, including this year's NHL playoffs, which already happened, guys, and Major League Baseball. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. And BetOnline.net remains the best spot for all of your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all of your favorite sports and events, including MMA, boxing, and golf. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, where the game starts.
Your comments about Justin Verlander and some of the old heads in baseball, do they also span to guys like Miguel Cabrera and Albert Pujols, who have been named?
No, because they're extra. They're extra spots. They're not taking anybody's spots away. And I think honestly, two things about the legend stuff. Number one, Pujols. It's a fun farewell. Like, hey, you are one of the greatest hitters of this generation. You know, we can get to salute you in the national platform because you're probably not going to get, to the World Series most likely. So this is our last farewell, and we can honor you in front of the whole baseball world. That's a cool thing.
So you would be okay with them. You would not be okay with them being named starters, but you're okay with them being named reserves. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, yeah. I mean, neither of them have the numbers to be a starter. But that's my Pujols take. My Miguel Cabrera take is he didn't even need this legend selection. Like, he's literally the best Tigers position player, hands down.
I would say Eric Haas, but.
No, he leads in OPS. He literally is top 10 batting average
player, but Eric Haas has better numbers through and through.
No, I have to disagree 100%.
I mean, I can bring up the numbers if you want.
Sure, bring up the numbers. Batting average, he's at top 10 in all of the league. I mean, he has completely changed his approach. He's playing with one knee. Eric Haas has two knees. Miguel Cabrera has one knee. And he's doing everything he's doing with one bleeping knee. At 39 years old, he leads the team in OPS. He's actually stayed on the field. I believe Eric Haas has had an IL stint or two. It's there, man. I mean, he didn't need this legend extra spot from Manfred to be in the All-Star. I mean, that's a
it
horrible
just tells
team.
you how bad the Tigers have been this season. Eric Haas has a 733 OPS and 7 home runs and 144 at bats. Trying to look up Miggy Cabrera right now. I know he doesn't have 7 home runs or a 7.
No, he's got 3 home runs, but
3 home runs and what's his OPS? His OPS is 681.
Well, again, Kevin stayed on the field. And 681, not at the time of the All-Star selections. So you bring that back. He actually had a 717 OPS, staying more on the field. Again, I have no who deserves more of an All-Star selection because of staying on the field. And again, you're only taking OPS. Take batting average. Take hits. Take RBIs that he has. Won walk-off games for the Tigers, who have barely crossed the 30-win threshold. No. He didn't even need this legend clear spot by Manfred. I mean, he is the Tigers' best hitter from April 7th when the season began until July 12th. 100%.
Well, couldn't MLB just have named Gregory Soto the Tigers' lone representative? And given,
well, that's exactly what they did. They know that he gets back-to-back All-Star selections. It's just a deplorable bad offense, and
why does Miguel Cabrera have to be named an All-Star too when you have other guys like Ty France and Anthony Rizzo and JD Martinez who are far and away more deserving of that spot?
Well, again, he's not taking JD Martinez's spot. He's not taking Ty France's spot. It's an extra spot.
As a reserve, though, you're still named an all-star. Like, Ty France isn't an all-star. Anthony Rizzo isn't an all-star.
Take that against the other reserves. Again, Kevin, it's an extra spot. It doesn't take anything away from, if Ty France is not there, take it against another reserve, because that Miguel and Pujols spots are extra. Take it against the other reserves. That's why they're not on there.
So keep Miguel Cabrera, but take out, I don't know, Luis Arias? Is that what you're saying?
No, because Luis Arias is literally the best hitter in the American League.
I'm trying to level and get on your side. I don't know. Are you just saying that MLB should just open up another spot? Like who are you
That's
taking
what they
out?
did. That's what they did, Kevin. Miguel Cabrera and Albert Pujols are extra spots. Those spots would not have been there. Last year, Albert Pujols and Miguel Cabrera would not have been in the All-Star game. They're not taking anybody's position or spot away. They're extra spots.
Okay, maybe I must not have read it right. So they literally just carved out these roles for Miguel Cabrera and Albert Pujols.
It was, let's say, a 25-man roster. This year it's a 26-man roster. They're the 26-man roster. They're the 26th guy in each league.
So
they're
they
not taking anybody's spot.
So they didn't take like a Ty France.
No, that would be unfair. That would be unfair. Okay, I think Ty France has better numbers. I think Brendan Drury was a snub and has better numbers than Pujols. Like that's why.
I still think it's a snub though, because you're carving out these spots for these legends that aren't really that deserving this season, and yet you're not allowing the Brandon Drurys and the Ty Frances to get their opportunities. Like we'll carve out a spot for a legend, but we're not going to carve out a spot for you guys who are deserving all-stars.
I mean, I guess it's unfortunate for Brandon Drury and Ty France to not get that all-star selection. We've talked about this though. We're gonna get like 10 more all-stars by next week.
That's true.
Like so the Brandon Drurys and Ty France, they're gonna get in, and even Jason Adam could get in. Injuries and I'm not gonna make it because I have the sniffles and I'm not gonna be able to make it to Dodger Stadium. Like we're gonna see a lot of new, but I think honestly this legend stuff is a good idea by Manfred to kind of put a farewell bow into one of the best right-handed hitters, both of them. That we have ever seen in the last way of platinum. The Detroit Tigers are never going to go anywhere, at least in the next 5 years. Like I know you were high on them. They are not a good team at all. So this is like the last time Miggy could possibly be in a national stage. I still think he could have gotten as the Detroit Tigers best hitter. We can agree to disagree on that. Pujols, he needed this spot in order to get to the All-Star game, but he's going to participate in the home run derby. Like that's cool. Like, and I'm not, again, the Kershaw and Verlander thing, like get them in the game. They've got good numbers, but put them in the third inning. It's the starting that I think should be Sandy Shane. And just like Miguel and Albert Pujols, they're going to, make an appearance in the seventh inning, and that would be cool too.
Wow. I would go as far as to say that I'd rather have Justin Verlander start the All-Star game than Miggy Cabrera and Albert Pujols being selected as quote-unquote legends. If they put up the numbers, sure. But
that's a bad take.
2 ERA. I mean, Justin Verlander's got his numbers are. You can create an argument that he could be a starter. I'm just a kind of
the players
befuddled that you love these. I mean, we've talked about this before about the guys. Hey, give shots to young players that haven't had an opportunity to make an all-star appearance, but they're carving out these roles for these. I mean, they are legends, but quote unquote legends.
Well, again, they're extra spots, so they're not taking away spots from guys that are deserving. Zero chance they're doing that. They're extra spots, so they're not taking away spots from young guys. And as far as the legends thing, it's not going to happen every year because guess what? Years are not every year is not going to have a Miguel Cabrera and a Albert Pujols on display. Like next year, we might not see any legends whatsoever, and so I think they're just taking this chance to have one on each league, and that's why they're doing this year. But it's not something that we're going to see every year with the legends, because who's going to be a legend, next
I'm sure
year?
you could find some guy that's still kicking around at, 38, 39 years old, like Evan Longoria.
Exactly, but it's not the same. Like it's not Albert Pujols, first ballot Hall of Famer, Miguel Cabrera, first ballot Hall of Famer. Like those types of guys do not grow on trees.
Yeah, I don't like it. I feel like it's kind of, I get it, but it's also a way, hey, we're going to, because it's Miguel Cabrera, because it's Albert Pujols, but sorry, Brandon Drury, You've had a great season, but you're not getting an opportunity.
They're not taking spots away
Yeah,
from them.
they are in a way. They're not taking spots, but they're giving a spot to somebody else.
Oh my God. Agree to disagree or wrap this up.
Yeah, I don't want to see Miguel Cabrera in the game, and I don't want to see Albert Pujols in the game. I'm sorry. Don't want to see him in the All-Star. I want to see him on the bench. That's what I want to see.
Oh my God.
What about the home run derby? So you're okay with Albert Pujols in the home run derby?
I think the home run derby means nothing. Have fun with it. Yes.
Oh God. You can't give Brandon Drury that spot then.
Oh my God.
Oh, Albert Pujols, 5 home runs. All-Star home run derby champion. He might be.
Unreal.
Depending on how that thing shakes
Unreal.
out. All right. Agree to disagree. That's
Agree
fair.
to disagree.
All right. Thank you again for making the Locked On Rays podcast your very first listen every day. Now make your second listen, the Locked On MLB Prospects podcast. That is also free and available on all platforms. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you tomorrow.